Hey guys, James here with you again today, and in this video I'm going to be talking about the tennis elbow problem that many people suffer from. So tennis elbow, or also known in the non-layman's terms as lateral epicondylitis. So basically it's that tendinopathy of the forearm where the one of or multiple muscles of attach into the tendon that attaches to that lateral epicondyle. Okay, so what we're going to have to do here is find an exercise that works well to help relieve the symptoms that are prominent with lateral epicondylitis or tennis elbow. So oftentimes if you look at it, it's called tennis elbow because a lot of tennis players get this issue, and it commonly comes from that repeated sort of wrist extension type movement. So particularly in a backhand in tennis where you're stepping forward and swinging through it, and you're going to finish it off with that wrist extension, and as you get the impact of the ball on the racket and the force generates up through that forearm, the tendon obviously then gets overloaded over time, and that's when we start developing these symptoms of lateral epicondylitis or tennis elbow. So oftentimes to treat this problem, it's very common for people to start doing isometric holds over the edge of a table or the wrist extension type exercises to start working that. And I'm not necessarily a big fan of these because I find that all you're doing is loading up the movement that has caused the same problem to occur in the first place. So you're basically just adding fuel to the fire, and I haven't had much success doing this sort of thing with people in the past. So I've tended to steer away from that and start looking more at the muscle called supinator, which is also attaching onto that point on the lateral epicondyle. So supinator's job is to supinate, so basically turn our hand from over to under. So think about supinator is holding a bowl of soup. So supinator is going to do that. So what I like to do is train that actual movement, because I found a lot more success working with people with that actual exercise than doing any of the isometric holds or the wrist extensions, because as I said, people are just loading, or they're adding load to the same movement that they're already overloaded with. So again, why would you do that? If we're trying to look at load management, then we need to be really smart with how we go about it. So for the supinator, where we're turning the hand over, I'm a big fan of the banded supination type exercise. So you want to use a fairly heavy band, and you're going to start with it in an overhand position. Now, this is the one exercise or one of the conditions that I typically won't use isometric exercises for, because I find that the band supinations on their own tend to be enough to help relieve the symptoms or even fix the problem in the long run, okay? So banded supinations, we're going to start with our hand over the top of that band. You want a pretty firm grip on it, thumb under or over, whatever's most comfortable, it doesn't matter. Now the key here, you're going to get a bit of a shoulder workout as well, because you're going to have to hold it in like a neutral shoulder position. So those external rotators of the shoulder are going to be working pretty hard to stop the band pulling you back in, okay? So you're going to start in that neutral position there, and all you're going to do then is turn your hand over. You should feel that point where the symptoms are in the lateral epicondyle. You should feel that point really working hard over time as you do more reps. There might be some pain associated with this, but that's okay, because eventually as you do more and more repetitions and more sets, that should start to subside. And then when you're finished, you might even notice that, hey, this is actually feeling pretty good. I can actually do some other things now. So I've actually had a personal issue with this one as well. I got it in my right hand, my right forearm, just from doing too much volume at the gym and being an idiot really. And it got to the point where I literally couldn't shake someone's hand without pain in that area. So I started doing these banded supinations, and for me personally, I reckon within 1 to 2 weeks, I had a real noticeable difference in pain and function on the positive side of things. So in terms of prescribing this, I really like doing So I'll run through it again and you can watch as I go about this, but I really like to work on lots of sets, so up to 5 sets, even sometimes 6, 7 sets, but I'll generally push for about 5 sets of 10 reps. So you should feel like by that 10th rep, it's starting to get pretty hard and you're failing and you're like really struggling to pull it over, and then you can bring it back and let it rest. So you should feel the forearm muscles working a little bit deep in the forearm as well, where our supinator is sitting, and you'll feel it definitely on that point where the tendons attach into the lateral epicondyle. Okay, so as I said, work yourself into 5 sets of 10, couple of times a day at least, so morning and afternoon or evening, and that should hopefully start to settle the symptoms down over time. But make sure the key is the intensity. You need a really strong band. Like if you're doing sets of 10 and you feel like you could have done 20 reps instead of 10, it's not heavy enough, so you need to add more load to that, okay? And I think the key as to why this one might work is because it is a different movement and we're loading it up in a different way, as opposed to how people often get lateral epicondylitis in the first place. Thanks for watching today's video, everyone. I hope you got something out of it. Please like, subscribe and share if you did. And I will be putting out some more videos in the near future. So my name is James Westhorpe again, and I'll see you in that next video.